don't say all of it, because that's probably not gonna happen.
No, we were just talking about, no, we're gonna just plow the gravel, and, I mean, we could throw a little bit of money at it, but we are like on a really tight budget.
Gravel estimates are about 4,500.
Is that in all the new 36,000?
I'm sorry, yeah,
Is that in?
yeah, that's in that figure.
Okay. So it takes down to 32, if they buy the gravel basically.
Yeah.
Give or take.
And we could throw another 2,000 at it, so bring the cost down to
It's a shared
30,000.
road, so.
Well, I think usually what we've done since I've been around is we try to split the costs. But if there's things that need to be done on our side, that's our responsibility. In other words, if the tower and all that.
Well, and by statute, I mean, we have the ability to work on that road, whether it's north or south side. I mean, we have,
And that, but
several years ago, we did clean some ditches on a small portion of this road. It was requested several years ago. We went in there, you know, you have the county line road south of Leroy where we built that structure. You know, there was some shared costs there with, Woodson County. I know there's Township Road up by Agricola that we worked on a couple of years ago that, you know, they requested some help. So, I mean, it's stuff we've done in the past.
I'm not saying we haven't done it or we won't do it. I'm just saying that I don't want Coffee County to end up doing the whole project. I mean,
Right.
and would this include the trees too, cutting of the trees?
Yeah. The price would.
This is part of it, so, and we have the side mower that we could actually do. You guys have a side mower? Okay, so we have a side mower, so if we did some of that, that would cut expenses down for you guys too.
Right.
And there's actually a couple other spots that'd be very beneficial. I mean, to get our boom mower in there and get them mowed back.
So,
And we have, our tractor with the side mower is, yeah,
I mean, we have some of the things like that, we could help you, and I mean, and I'm not saying it has to be a 50-50 split. So, I mean, if we could do the trees, think what's on our side, and maybe help a little bit what's on your side, and it may come out just about what you guys can do.
that would be awesome. Yes, yeah, we'd appreciate help on any of it.
I see there's a minimum maintenance road there on Gardner as well.
Yeah, that's our road. That's an open.
Right, but I mean, is there houses down there or is there?
No, there's,
Fields? Just fields.
this field. I think somebody does have like a recreation type area down there by the interstate, at the end of that. But I mean, we maintain that half mile or 3/8 of a mile or whatever it is.
Yeah, that culvert right there at that road is non-existent.
All right, I mean, that would be, yeah.
So that help, the culvert in that area, but once again, your ditches are gonna have to be good to make your culverts
Right.
justifiable.
Well, I don't have a problem. I mean, guys, Harmony is talking like they're gonna pitch in some rock and a couple extra grand, so.
Ryan, most of this cost of the 36 you estimated, most of that's gonna be equipment cost of getting everything graded, getting everything prepared at our cost, correct?
Correct. Yes, that's our cost.
So we're technically not out any money other than manpower and equipment during the time it takes to do the work.
Right, there would be some material cost. I mean, if they're gonna cover the rock, but there's some culverts that we're looking at, would be the material in there. And there's, like I said, we're still working on with the tower people, so, I mean, that could cut that cost in half on the amount of ditch that we need to put in if they can fix drainage on their side of it and not bring that water up the road like it is. I mean, that would bring the cost down some on the cost there.
Looking at the maps on that, the fences won't have to be moved.
They would be on the north side if the water continues to come off that tower road and runs on the north
So
side.
I know the owner, we're good.
And the landowners will take care of that.
The fences on your side would be yours.
It's on my father-in-law's side, yeah.
So you yourself can fix that.
Absolutely. It's been in there since 1900, it's probably time for it to come out anyway.
It looks,
There's 27 rows of barbed wire on that fence.
And there have been some other landowners up there
looks like you're having a league issue.
where we're looking at taking the trees out. They've approached me and said, you know, they're willing to do some work themselves, where the county would leave off if we do some work there. I mean, they're willing as far as the drainage channels that run to the road. You know, they have the equipment, they can help out with some of that, so they're willing to volunteer their time and equipment, you know, to help that road out.
Must be a mess up there then.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Everybody's willing to pitch.
I
Yeah.
think we clean this out, be worked
Will
out.
the landowner back up a little bit on farming right up to the, path?
I would say that discussion we need to have, if we go in there and clean the ditch out, then yes, I think that would be the understanding, if we're putting time and money and work in there, that hopefully they would stay back.
I think Rob could probably handle that.
Yeah.
I'd probably say something.
Does those, and I have no idea how your structure is, that done, it sounds like it's done by townships, but does Osage County have any equipment themselves, like a grader or any trucks?
Here's my problem with Osage County, even though I live in Osage County. I've asked and asked and asked, and I get no response, no phone call back. And I have other places besides this one to deal with, on the Osage County side. I get no response. It was basically, I'm on my own out there, or we're on our own out there. So, yeah. And we wrap all around, we have both sides of the lake on part of it, so, yeah.
There are some county roads in Osage County. correct?
There is.
And that's the only
Those are
thing
the
they
nice
do.
roads.
Yeah, they're the only thing they do.
That's the only thing they
Right.
do. Yes, I'm sorry, but that's,
My question is, why didn't you guys go county?
you know what, that was before my time. I've only been on the board, 3 years,
Is
so
it something that could be re-entertained?
I sure would like to.
Because then they could budget for it.
Right,
And it still might take some time because they go from not caring about it or not having to care about
Right.
it to having to care about it, and time to get budgeted
Yeah.
and equipment and manpower and stuff to take on. Many miles
yeah,
you said you
we
had.
basically are, with $68,000 a year that we get, we use pretty much dang near all of it. And there still needs to be about $500,000 for the gravel put down on the rest of the roads.
Yeah, there's still hill gravel, there's still hill gravel out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to do this and to make, just sprinkle gravel on the rest is, we scratch our heads all the time. How are we gonna get this done? How are we gonna do this with our budget? That's why we're here today.
I have no problem. I think Ryan can work something out with you. But, you know, like, we've got the boom mower, you know, that's part of 36,000, you know. It'd be a lot simple for us to go through since we have that.
Yeah, those
Those-
trees have
some
kind
of
of
those
canopy
type of
over the
things.
top of that road, and it's hard to get combines or any big, or semi trucks down it. And they do use that road quite a bit now since the new, rock quarry opened up. And you have, basically on that spot that you're looking at, that road is so narrow, you can barely get a truck down it right now.
If their canopies go over that far, they don't need to be trimmed, they need to be taken out.
That's the spot
Well,
where the trees will probably be taken out.
Yeah, that's,
So your plans are to take out
some of them
where
were
the major issues.
Yeah.
How many miles did you say you had in your township?
47.
47. That'll leave you with about $1,500 a mile per year to maintain your road. That's getting pretty slim pickings.
When we set the dump truck, it's on the first chain, and just kind of sprinkle the gravel on it.
Like put pepper on the ground.
Yeah.
We're gonna pick and choose what we can do.
It
and what
doesn't
we
look
can't.
like the road's wide enough to pass anyway.
Not there, not there.
Does the 68, you get 68, what you said you get
68,000.
68,000, does that include your salaries too?
We make $60 a month.
So I mean,
We spend that in gas driving around over the roads. We don't make anything.
I'm just trying, you
Yeah.
know, figure out how tight it was.
It sounds to me like it needs to be a project we need to partner up and control our cost the best we can. And of course, it's gonna be equipment cost and labor cost and
Correct.
cost. And try to get this issue resolved towards safer, maybe for both counties.
I mean, I would like to add it in for,
You do have a blade, right?
We do have a blade. We purchased it, we bought it 2 years ago.
3 years.
3 years ago.
Because we upgraded from a 1976 dresser.
Yeah.
To a cap.
So.
It was time for that machine to go.
You know, we got a lot of projects, Ryan, lined up for, finish up this year as well as already next year. What's your time frame? If we do put this together, what's your time frame in trying to put this
I would
together? We got
shoot
other
for-
projects, it's all.
Right, I would put it in, like, we're working on our book right now for next year's project, so I would go ahead and put it in there for next year's project. You know, we're still working on at least one of those areas, it'll take a few months by the time all that shakes out with the tower guys. So, I mean, yeah, definitely next year would be as early as I think we would be able to do something.
I don't have an issue with you guys.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either, as long as we get the bumper strip or just keep that kind of issue from happening.
Yeah.
Ryan can make it work.
Ryan spent a lot of time going over,
Competency.
finding a solution for us, because I didn't have one. So I know he knows what he's doing.
We hope.
Move forward. Sounds like
I don't know if we're gonna vote on that or not, or just,
We need a motion for it. So, to help Arvonia Township
I mean, it's,
with the County Line Road for 2 miles from Fauna to Homestead.
it needs to be a motion.
You know, we already have an agreement with our neighboring counties, agreement that we will do. I think we already have.
Well, I mean, we have one of those things, I think that's a question for you.
I mean, I don't know, I just know by statute, we can't go and work on that, I don't know if you need, why you need a motion.
May not need to be in a motion.
I suppose if we find out we do need one, we can come back and get one
So when
later.
you're putting together your projects for next year, so to speak, you'll just budget in this 32,000 and
Correct.
everything involved in that.
Correct.
Just nothing, okay.
If you make a next year's project, because we will look at it, we will approve next year's project.
Yeah.
And if it's in it, and we approve it, then it's approved.
Okay.
That'll work.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you all. Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a good week. Yeah, you
All right, should have all got your packets. There's no road permits. The only construction zone is in there, so I guess you can look that over if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Landfill summary. Solid waste, we got 639.63 tons. Construction debris, 198 tons. Special waste, 12.24 tons. 12.87 tons of metal. Tree limbs, and 15 appliances, a total of 386 tires. And a few processed tires. On that. And I have one change order, which would be for the asphalt project up there on 16th. There's 46 more tons of asphalt used on that, basically down there on the flooded out area. It took a little more asphalt down there than we originally anticipated. So, total $3,500, $1.79 on that change order.
It's a motion 2021, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the change order number 2 for A2104-C hot mix asphalt project. Hot mix overlay at 16th Road, Caper Road, and Links Road, and Caper Road for 46.32 tons of additional asphalt required to correct subgrade failure for a total net increase of $3,501.79 to the contract.
Did change order number 1 for this project also include more asphalt?
I'm not for sure on that.
I was thinking that we passed change order number 1, which already included some extra asphalt.
I think that might have been for some original patching, maybe elsewhere other than that spot, but I know,
I think they went in and patched that before they come in and overlaid it, because they wanted to get it opened. And I think that was what one was to go in and patch it before the overlay
that
come in,
seems that may be right.
because it was a mess.
But it was a lower amount. That change order wasn't very big.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I think like 1,500, 1,800,
Yeah.
there was some tonnage involved in it.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Bob moved,
I'll second.
Jesse seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. The next motion would be for the contract for Heartland Auctions. I think that was maybe tabled last week. to my
Yeah, we were
understanding.
just making sure Wade had a chance to review this contract, which he has approved. Am I correct, Andrew? Yes.
Okay.
So we're good to go on that now. So 21-57, based on the recommendation of the county engineer and approval of the county attorney, to find that the following items are no longer required or cannot prudently be used for public purposes in Coffee County, and as such should be disposed of by sale. Notice of the board's intention to dispose of said property at Heartland Auction LLC, 1530 South Old Highway 83, Garden City, Kansas, will be published on November 4th and November 11th in the official county newspaper. A long list of items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16. You'll have the serial numbers. I mean, we're going to publish each of these items in the paper as well, correct?
Correct, and to my understanding, they should be.
I don't think you need to list them all out. They can be read, or I don't need to read them out now, so.
Hey, Chairman, those did not run in the November 4th paper, so you're gonna have to adjust those dates.
Oh, yeah, we're already past November 4th, aren't we?
Yeah, 11th and 18th.
So
11th and 18th.
11th and 18th?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Tim has moved.
Second.
Jesse seconded. So the changes will be published on November 11th and the 18th, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. With those two changes, yep, two have moved. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. So part B to that would be based upon the recommendation of the county engineer and approval of the county attorney as to form. Move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the listing agreement for online auction of Coffee County property for the listed items with Heartland Auction LLC as approved by Board of Coffee County Commission on October 25th.
It should be November 8th, I'd assume that.
Yeah. Change that to November 8th.
I'll make the motion.
Tim's moved.
I'll second.
Don seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
I believe that's all I have for this week, unless you guys have anything for me.
I do not. I don't think.
All right.
Coming in, Ron.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good week, Ron.
So, Monty?
Is that us?
Yes.
Okay.
They had you intertwined with Wayne's weekly report,
Yeah, yeah.
so,
Well, the two of us are back.
okay.
Saban Yanez, the Senior Vice President with CFS Engineers, and Jim Schuessler, Project Manager for the Community Capital Improvement Plan that we worked on the last several months for you all. And I'll turn this over to Jim here shortly, but first we wanted to, this is kind of the final presentation. The last time that Jim and I came, we presented the draft to you, and per your guidance and direction, we then had our final meetings with all the city councils, the 6 city councils in the county, to share the results of the study with them and get any feedback to the results of the study. And from our previous meeting, we had suggested, and you all had liked the idea of continuing the idea of a formation of a working group to keep this planning process moving toward real projects. And so we have been working, we have taken that idea to the city councils. And Jim will report, we've had very, very positive feedback and favorable comments, and he can share that a little more with how that moves forward. But I should say too, we want to start by thanking you again for selecting us to do this work for you all. It really has been a fun project. And to your credit, it really has been unique from other counties in the state of Kansas and even in Missouri. The partnership that you all created with your cities to do this work, to look ahead in advance, is really very, very forward thinking. And it really has enthused a lot of the people in your cities, in your county. And we were thrilled to have the opportunity to work with them. Again, we can't thank you enough for this opportunity. We hope to look forward to continue working with you as this moves forward. But with that, I'll turn it over to Jim and let him. We're not going to do a PowerPoint. We already gave you the bulk of that last time, but I'll let Jim kind of do that and where we go from here.
Very good. Thank you. Again, we're today wrapping up the capital improvement plan. I've been giving you all a copy of what I believe is the final document that has been reviewed by by all of the city councils over the last couple months since you and I met again here in August. I welcome any comments you have on that. I do want to reiterate things that it is very insightful that you created this process, and now the Leavenworth County in Kansas has an RFQ for a similar type process as well. So again, I think others are the words getting out that this is not a bad idea, but we're not familiar with any other county in recent time that's done this. So kudos to you. And also, as I presented to each of the different city councils, I've always described this as a gift to them, that you, in essence, provided them an opportunity to think about and have meetings around what are their short-term, midterm, and long-term goals. And through this funding process, allowed them, at no cost to them, to actually identify their goals and needs for the future. And so wanted to reiterate that, they've all heard that this is, and been part of the process. The document, as you see, has three different phases for the most part, which we worked through. Very hefty appendix, which documents all the things we've heard, all the mapping exercises, both the dot exercises, meeting minutes and stuff like that. So it really is a all-inclusive document. So if we want to remember back what was discussed at a meeting, it's there at the end. But just to stop here for a second, is there any questions you have about the process of the document?
Not I can't wait to look this over and see what you got laid out. Thank you very much for doing it. Do you have any questions?
So then, as Saban said, there are a series of people that have agreed to be on a future phase of this, which is the working group. Our hope is that will move forward, that at least a couple of you, Tom, you mentioned that you'd be interested in doing that, joining a working group. When we've identified 4 of the 6 cities have already identified their people. Gridley's looking for community volunteers, and I need to harass Leroy a little bit more. But this shows their interest in moving this forward, and as we met with them again over the last months, and you've been there, many of you have attended those, are always our last couple of slides in their presentation was the ask. The ask is to not let this be shelved, but to continue to move forward with the process. And if you would like, I could tell you my ideas what that would look like.
get it.
Bill beans.
So we at CFS, Dave and I specifically, would love to be part of a process. And ultimately, I've defined here a potential scope that could take this through, whether you hire CFS to continue as additional service requests to our current contract. We could walk you through a 14-month process that would start in January, where we would lead the 11 different working group sessions. The first one would be in January, the kickoff meeting to identify the different topics that we're going to discuss over the next 13 to 14 months. The intent here with COVID is that half of them would be virtual and half of them would be in person. We'd set up a schedule and we would start to, at that kickoff meeting, identify the 5 topics that we thought were the most interesting. Some of those topics that we've heard from you in the past are the fishing lakes, the trails, the safe routes to schools, really connecting the community with sidewalks. But then it could include other things such as recreation, amenities throughout the communities, increased housing. It's always an ongoing thing, or many of the different things. Even within the document on page 7 or 8, it does describe the commonalities of all the different cities that we've met with and try to document what some of those commonalities. You see a lot of commonalities between each of the cities. And so we pick our topics and we move through with them. And then through your on-calls or other ones, you could request additional support with writing grants, meeting with additional funding sources such as the Sunflower Foundation, KDOT's Municipal Bureau of Local Projects and others to the Southeast Kansas Regional Council and others, granting sources to ultimately look and the intent would be that over the next 14 months, we would be submitting grants to win some projects and really elevate them forward.
What kind of fee would you guess would be, or estimate would be associated with getting those grants through?
So each of hopefully not a lot. I mean, hopefully, again, once we've identified, we know that through KDOT, there's a lot of things that we're interested in. Definitely the safe routes to schools, the regional RTF funds, sunflower funds. There's the
what is the RTF?
Regional Trail Fund.
Okay.
It's through the federal government. That's probably through KDOT as a distributor. These are different, we're familiar with a lot of different funding sources that are paying for the Flint Hills Nature Trail, just north of you, And so we've written those grants before. We've written the bill grants and others to support.
Jim, if I could chime in, so you kind of asked the question.
Yeah, what would it cost to get a grant?
Let me kind of give you a range, because that's probably a better way to do it. Some of the more local ones that Jim mentioned, like say directly with Kansas Local Projects Group or the cost share program. In our experience, you might see a project, a fee for us to do that of somewhere between say $3,000 and $5,000 because there's usually a documented process that you're trying to meet criteria. The build grant, which is much more of a federal program, it's a very high level program. Again, that can be more expensively more because that's involving going to the U.S. Department of Transportation and several federal agencies. So that can be anywhere from say $20,000 to $30,000 for something like that.
But that involves like drawings as well.
Actually, it would involve maybe some just concepts. It's not really drawings. They're more interested in, many of these agencies are looking for, they have criteria. And you're trying to address each of the criteria that they're asking you to, and then they score your submittal. So it's usually not based on drawings at that point, it's based on data.
But they don't require a preliminary drawing.
Not necessarily. Again, it kind of depends on the program, and so I'm not trying to be evasive, it's just, so for example, the bigger one I talked about, it's not necessarily preliminary plans, but you have to show that you've made some progress beyond just a concept of planning, so.
A lot of documentation goes.
Yeah.
A lot of the projects talk about additional, studies, like, we wanna do a lighting study within 6 communities, or we wanna do a flooding study within 6 communities, or we're gonna do traffic calming within 6 studies. You know, the actual additional studies aren't within this, it's identifying what everyone's interested, who's gonna help participate locally with dollars, but then also what are the dollars that we can go get statewide, local, foundation-wide, federal level, and then get those monies, so really make it not so much of a local burden, but really,
One of the
leverage additional dollars.
Yeah, one of the things we feel like we helped with a lot of the city councils, and I hope I say this the right way, but I think there's a better opportunity within your county and in your cities to help the communities leverage their dollars for more dollars. And so I think that typically these communities have kind of been, I'll call it pay-as-you-go communities. And with these multiple sources that we're identifying out there, you can take a portion of those dollars and leverage them for a lot more dollars to deliver some of these projects we're talking about. Even some of the studies that we have in the early short-term goals for projects. So I think that in our discussions, we feel like we've enlightened some of them a little bit on that they were used to saying, oh my gosh, this is gonna cost us this amount of money. And the reality is, no, you can take 10% of what you're looking for and leverage it for more, or 20%. And so we're all about looking to help you all and those communities leverage their dollars to get some of these projects built.
Are these grants, some of these grants, do they cover the grant writing in the grant itself?
Typically, they, again, it depends on the category. I want to be real clear here, so I'm not being evasive, but typically they don't. Typically, that's the part that they rely on the local, I'll call it the local commitment to do that. And so, but again, it can vary by program. So some of the studies that we have in the short-term goals, because they're studies, there's a little less work upfront to go get those grants. Those are smaller amounts of dollars to do. For example, you might have a specific stormwater study, which was a big issue in pretty much every community in your county. That may cost, let's just say that costs $60,000 to $80,000 to do, but those funds, you could take 10% of that to leverage that rest of those dollars to get it on the fund, the grant fund, to do the study. But I don't know if that totally answers your question, but a lot of times that initial grant writing is at the burden or the cost of the local.
Now, there's sometimes on your federal grant side, we want to ensure that the money that is possibly given to the county will not tie to any foundation or any national preserve or anything way, shape, or form that puts the county in jeopardy if they receive the money from the federal side. Because we did that with, what was that, National Heritage? We exited that and still had a tough time figuring out where that come from, but I think we've got a good idea. Somebody got a grant and it put Coffee County in the National Heritage District.
And we wanna watch that.
And we want to watch because they're tying federal monies to certain things, and we want to protect our county property.
We're not familiar with it. I wrote down it just this weekend. I was trying to add more and more to the finance thing, and one of them was the land and water conservation fund, which helped pay for parks projects, including swimming pools and splash pads and stuff like that. So again, I added that to document because it's, again, another source that we need to be looking at, but I don't know the fine print of what that means, because that sounds pretty cool. Conservation fund, but maybe that there is some versions of that I don't know about. But I was, again, through the document trying to find these dollars that are available to us to look at. And I'm switching subject, but a lot of this lifting can be done through the workshops that we said. Like, and if we decide, which I hope we do, hey, because every community wants sidewalks. And so if we said, hey, we're gonna, for 2 months, we're gonna focus on sidewalks, which is gonna leverage us for at least the safe routes to schools. The people that are, I'm creating maps, working with the GS department here to say, okay, you show us, where we need sidewalks and so that, so it's not necessarily Jim Schuster boots on the ground trying to actually identify all the sidewalks, but the members of the working group can come, have that month to map out where they think they are, even talk to city council if they want, and then come back to the working group saying, here's where our needs are for sidewalks, and that's really not on our backs, you bet. So we're leveraging the working group, and that's just an example. We could be doing the same thing with, traffic calming, lighting, stormwater. I mean, so there's, we could accomplish a lot over the next 14 months on tackling some topics that are important to everybody.
I'm gonna switch kind of areas. On the hiking trails, we're talking within the cities, correct? And how much branching out through the county?
So, there are, interests and needs, with each community is interested in walking. They either want to connect to Gridley wants to connect a mile to the north to their city lake. There's both Burlington and New Strawn have talked about connecting to themselves, so that actually is getting outside of their city limits a little bit. Waverly, a lot of people, so it is a combination of both. Cities wanting to create better environments for their communities, but then thinking a little bit more outside the box about, well, if someone else has an interest in connecting to us, we want to talk about it. So, but I think through the workshop, working groups, we can be able to understand, are we writing grants for, 6 individual communities, or is there a little bit more global? But I think we could start with the local first.
I had people contact me with concerns, and of course, in today's private property rights, the big concern when we start talking about connecting. And how you do it.
I see under Waverly's is making connecting nature trail along previous railroad routes. Well, those railroad routes have all been back to the property owners, so there's no previous railroad routes there.
And it's being, trust me, I heard.
Well, and so, the idea came from Burlington and Leroy. I mean, that's where the idea came from. And then but then Burlington New Strawn had their connector, and then Waverly was like, well, we want to be part of this too. So the only 2 out were Leroy, Lebo and Gridley. But even Gridley has an old railroad line that goes diagonal through their community as well. And so they were like, hey, how can we access it? What we've seen and understand is that there are federal dollars to get access to these old railroads. That is federal dollars, and it does include land acquisition. So if we're interested in creating, we the community are interested in looking at these federal dollars to do a spur off of the Prairie Spirit and the Flint Hills. That access is 20, we just helped, he was talking about it, I didn't say it. We just wrote, what's Ray's grant for the Flint Hills for $25 million to do the next phase of that project. So again, if you can get access to $25 million, that includes land acquisition costs, and if it's you as the old leadership are interested in that, then we can help you with that. If not, it stays very local.
Your concern is that the land doesn't become eminent domain, so to speak.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, no,
Yeah,
we're not saying
I
that.
think, you know, I think that's, in our experience, that's always a direction that you all set before any investigation begins. So we've had, clients in the past that have said, that's like we're a no-go. So we can do enough work that says, here's how you can fund it, here's how you can move forward. There's probably would be lots of discussion with people in the community, including the property owners. And if there can't be an agreement on it, then the project can't move forward. But, you know, those directions are set by you all as leaderships, and we just take the direction from you all. There are times when, you know, commissions or councils say, we want to use the full process because we believe this is a priority to us. So again, every project's different, but you all will have a say in the parameters of how something like that would move forward.
And we can always follow the road network too, like even connecting Burlington, and I have looked at it, and that's why I wrote on here, work with the GIS department about land ownership, and understanding who is actually owning land, but we can follow the highway.
You know, we have over 50 up there. I mean, going from Lebo to past Waverly through, to me, that makes more sense on a roadway where it's established.
We've had a project in, Platte County, Missouri, rural Platte County, Missouri, where they have a roadway that, it needed to be resurfaced, but they have a lot of bicyclists who, like organization bicyclists who will ride miles on the weekends on these rural routes. So when we did the resurfacing project, we widened the road just a little bit, kind of redid the ditches, so that they would have a safer facility for cyclists. So there's solutions that can be worked through, whether it be a rails to trails type project or existing roadway lines.
Well, I think the answer, to reply to what you were talking about, I don't think any of us would be in favor of any sort of eminent domain for any project.
I don't know of a project that I've ever been part of where we use them in a jam.
So those listening, if that's their fears, no, we're not heading down that. We're not heading down that.
I want to just stress that that's
No,
not
absolutely.
part of it.
I can't
Absolutely.
remember any project ever in my career we used that.
So basically, phase one of our adventure is over, and we need to.
Yeah, we did, provide this to Wayne, Jim did last Friday afternoon. So again, this proposal is there for he and you all to review. But, like Jim said, we're excited that we'd love to do the work for you, and kind of continue your mission here. We feel like you've got a lot of the cities very excited about moving forward with something, and very interested to see how that moves forward. And I think the side benefit too is even the working group is going to look at priorities that benefit the entire community. There will be these kind of, I'll call them spin-offs each community will have that I think because they've been enthused by the process that I think they will want to move some things forward as well.
And we're working with the City of Independence on the exact kind of same thing. That's one of the things we showcased in our interview to win the job. But ultimately, you do the plan and then you start into the working group. With that one, working with the different city, it's one city, but the different departments within that city and stakeholders throughout. And so we're, we've done this before and are still doing it right now.
This was all started before I even got in the seat, but I think it's something very good for the communities.
I do too.
And I don't know what the dollar amount was to get this started, but
There's somewhere in this same area.
It was.
I think, Jesse, I think it was somewhere in this same area. And that's the question I had, phase two, we're looking at this figure, 50,000. Is there a phase three to it, or is this phase two go into all the local projects?
So that's
Where
kind of,
we'll, cost share and grant writing and stuff like that.
so it could be a little bit of both, again, not trying to be evasive. So But I think when we listed, on here, this kind of, we called it on-call services, but, as things start to come out of the working group, that would be how we would come back and say, okay, this project is gonna need this amount of work for a grant or whatever, and we can break them into pieces for you, and that also, I think, would be how we would wanna communicate it. If it, let's say it involves 2 cities within the county, maybe then it's a 3-party way that we say, here's how we do this. So we feel like we're not at a place we could spell it out, we wanna give you a placeholder to say, that's kind of what we see as the next step.
But it was mentioned, that this here would get us down the road 12, 13, 14, 15 months, give or take, might be 18 months. These projects are gonna be a 5-year project probably. So there'll be some extra cost over and above, going beyond.
We or whoever, I mean, your county engineers, your departments have on-calls or they have, contracting abilities. And so task orders or individual scopes can be written to tackle for for smaller items. And so we don't see any larger items. Now, if we do, I say that, but then if you're doing that, you win the grant and need to do a stormwater
Yeah.
or whatever.
But everything's gonna be transparent to you in the process. We're not gonna hide anything from your staff or you guys. I mean, again, as Jim mentioned, if there's something smaller that are within your department's ability to say, move ahead with this based on the work group, that'll be communicated to you. But if it's something that we see as a larger tackle, we'll be back in front of you.
And it's our hope that at least two of you would participate in this as well as Bobby, would be part of the working group meetings, and each community would, I don't know who that is, would communicate back to their city councils or their county commissioners throughout the process.
Awesome. We all read it over, look it over,
Yeah.
and we can.
I think the money that has been spent on this needs to continue to, instead of just dropping it, I don't think if a person does not go forward with you guys to write grants and so on and so forth, to keep the snowball going downhill, I think he'll just get dropped.
Exactly. I don't want to see it.
And I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it.
I want to see our communities benefit from this and.
Yeah, we knew there was gonna be a phase 2.
Yeah.
Maybe even a phase 3. And if we're not gonna continue on it with the information that we've been provided, with information coming from every city, why did we even go to phase 1?
Right.
We're almost to the point where phase 2's a no-brainer.
I agree, but again, I think
I think we need.
look it over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Digest it for a week.
We weren't expecting a decision today, we just needed to get it in front of you because you had all asked us to bring this forward. So.
Very, very nice. Thank you.
Here's a digital version of the full and an emailable copy. I don't know who gets that. I guess you do, Angie. But there is a large 50 meg file and then the 8 meg file. So there's an emailable version of that as well, or the full higher resolution print one.
We can't thank you enough again, and we look forward to the chance to continue to work on this with you. And other things in the county. You guys have been wonderful, your communities have been great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
While you guys are here, in our book, we have, Bobby, if you want to iterate on this.
Yes, sir. There's a little bit of overlap here. There's, CFS, the firm, CFS, East Jones, I've requested approval this morning by the commission of a traffic study. It's limited in nature, it's specific to a project we're working on. It's outside the parameters of my ability to approve it. I'm bringing it before the board for approval. Now, CFS has already deployed to the site and set up equipment to perform this study in advance of you approving it, due to the timely nature of this project. If you would, consider and approve today that invoice you see, that contract you see in front of you.
And if there's any further explanation to that, I'd be happy to do that as you all review it.
I read through it first thing this morning, so I don't know if anybody else needs time.
it's something that's gotta be done to carry on. It's pennies on the dollar, so I move we accept it.
Where are we gonna break this money from?
You have,
It could come out of my budget, but as we approach the end of the year, this is my first year with the county, so there's so many unknowns. I still have, so I'm gonna be tight. I would request that maybe come out capital improvements, if possible.
Can't be capital improvement, I don't think, because it's
I
not,
mean,
Where it is.
It-
A traffic study.
it's a traffic study, that wouldn't be under capital improvement. It could be coming under,
Where's
community,
the traffic study?
75,
Okay.
50.
Community.
community improvement
It
reserve.
could come out of community improvement.
There are 2 or 3 areas that come out of
Improvement
there.
reserve, I don't think it comes out of capital. But it's really not capital. But we could take it out of Bobby's budget and, because we can always, his budget is out of the general anyway. No, it's not, okay.
I'd say just come out of.
We come out of community improvement.
Reserve,
I would just say, I do community improvement,
oh, just community.
yeah, just community improvement.
Well, there's reserve fund and also the general fund.
I would do their general, because where are we even at? Where are we on that?
That's the reserve you're looking at.
Okay, what do we got in the general? We're getting toward the end of the year. Or we can always transfer money to it.
Yeah, that's not listed on the sheet. is it?
Now, this agreement is set up for 4 different areas. Is that gonna accomplish every location we need to accomplish the results that we need?
My best answer is I hope so. What we're trying to do.
I don't like to have the answer, hope so. Is there another location or 2 that needs to be put into that?
So,
I didn't mean that way it sounded.
no, I'll say this,
I'd like to have more
so
positive.
correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't have it in front of me, but I think we proposed at the truck stop.
Yep.
And then there's a driveway just south of the truck stop.
Yep.
And then they have the 2 ramps at the interstate.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
4 ramps.
The 4 ramps, okay. That should accomplish what we need because, Bobby has asked us to look at, he's needing that data to communicate back to some of those property owners, and you probably all know this. And so to give him what he needs, we also needed to track that traffic that's coming on and off the interstate. And then down the road, eventually, if this moves to a bigger project, I'll just say that, and it moves in the direction that you all have discussed, I think, then we would have the data that's needed to be foundation for more work, I guess is a good thing. So I'll just stop there. So I think that's a long answer to say yes. Our belief today is this is the data that's needed.
This will distinguish between cars and pickups at 18.
Absolutely. We use video monitoring,
Well, you got video
counting,
type.
yeah, counting technology classifies vehicles by, you can even do bikes, pedestrians, it can do trucks by length. So we will have quite a bit of good data.
Probably doesn't make any difference, but the target date will need to be changed, so you'd be looking at what, mid-November for a week? This just being done for 7 days at a time.
Yeah, we said that we have 2 devices, that's why we have 2 setups. We had 1 week was last week, I think the first week, and then we have them this week. And then we'll need a week for data to get processed, and then a week for report. So
Yes.
that's kind of what we're looking at. So
Before Thanksgiving.
before Thanksgiving is, we'll be done before Thanksgiving.
But you've already got stuff set up in place.
Oh, yeah. We went ahead and kind of took a little bit of risk on our part because we saw that he had a need to get.
Now.
I mean, we do that sometimes as a firm, but we kind of hope that
We gotta have the data though.
Yeah, you gotta have it.
Send that out.
And then you start. and-
We'll just cut it off like that.
Yeah, you do start getting into weather, that was a little bit of concern, so we were kind of like, well, if he's needing it,
Well, when I
You
see the
guys are
date,
good,
the date to me did works, that's really,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
So,
But I think it's necessary.
I think we need the information.
We see the information.
we can give you as much as you want, but, when we get it all processed.
Right now, they're just video.
Yeah, when we send it into process and we get it all, so, yeah.
This kind of data is, special and unique. It's not something you get otherwise. This is gonna be really, really good.
You decide which fund to take it out of.
Community improvement.
Community improvement general.
Okay, community improvement general, so need a motion to approve contract, that be correct?
Yeah, traffic study.
Traffic study with Took Flat Stroll for $12,500, funds to come from community improvement
General.
general.
I'll move.
Jesse's moving,
I'll second.
Tim second.
Is it okay if I clean that up a little bit?
Ring name. I had a short break.
Move to accept the contract with CFS engineers in the amount of $12,500 for professional traffic engineering studies surrounding the I-35 and US 75 interchange. Funds to come from the general fund community improvement line item.
Jesse's
That's
moved.
exactly what you said.
And she can sound a lot better.
Yeah, it did. Tim seconded. Any further discussion? Thank you, Angie, for cleaning that up. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You gonna come back to roundtable, is that correct, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll do roundtable. So I think Wade has something for us, and I have a couple of them.
I have certificates for county employees, for those that have been here for years of service.
Okay.
Thanksgiving, we'll hand out to departments.
Okay.
Do you want to sign each of those, or do you want us to use your stamp? They're over there, it's up to you.
Oh.
There's quite a few, but it's all to you. And then we also have special issues.
Okay, when we get down here, I'll sign it.
Okay, all right.
Did you clarify what that?
All it was just a report on wages, for budget purposes.
Oh,
So since
okay.
you guys are over those two departments now, you need to have that for budgeting.
Oh, okay,
So, but we give it to all departments.
okay, all right.
So do you sign, so do you sign the listening? The traffic study?
I didn't see a record.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they needed to be like this, or if this is just something. Because on the second page, that traffic study. Or that's just something that they.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that would be me. If you can put in the dates, I'll sign it.
Stuff up on how we can do that.
Well, we had to make a motion, it's already been approved, but yeah, he was doing it.
And she said, well, Mark says,
Correct. And it's kind of like a regular period of time. 180 days.
and she said,
I believe so.
See, they've had it before.
Oh, man, I'm gonna sleep hangover in that. I don't know what to say.
No, I knew someone smarter than me was gonna like find something, that's why when I said. Yeah. We found many, right? Not too many, checks.
I think.
I know.
I love it, that should have been.
Oh. I don't even know.
You like to run
I could always handle
Sorry, Sam.
Got a few there.
Thanks, guys.
Do we need to do anything on the election?
On the election. Meaning,
As far as verifying it, like we do it 2-year or 4-year version?
that'd be a question for Andrew. I would assume so.
Well, I thought so too. I figured it'd already be on the program. On the agenda.
Nothing behind it, exactly, so she said. Don't need it.
How's Bradley?
I'm good. How are you?
I got the time change sleep hangover thing.
Mm-hmm. Me too. That sleeping an extra hours, false. I still wake up at the same time.
I woke up yesterday at 6:30, but I hadn't turned the clock back, so it was 5:30.
Wonder how quick the Boston City Council can make it.
They said they need to here Thursday night, and now Thanksgiving, so I think we'll get Thursday and then give them 3 day heads up.
That's Veterans Day.
No, tomorrow, Veterans Day. Or no,
It's
Thursday.
11 Thursday. Courthouse. We still make dirt.
No, we need,
Will that be in there? That got to be a special meeting? Or it's video?
I don't know, we can have it down here for a while.
That's got to be video.
Well, that's the way.
With all those people.
You guys enjoy your break, don't you? You got beer out there? I initialed and signed, so I'm assuming we have to get back to River Bridge. They can contact that guy and tell him we got it. I'm sorry. That round table.
Making room for more. Yeah.
Let's start timing.
Andy, do we need to do anything to finalize the election?
Next Monday will be the canvas.
Oh,
Yeah.
We are back. Going around the table. Let's start with Angie.
So as Dawn just asked if we were going to be finalizing anything with the election, we have a few things we have to do this week, just in my office with an audit of the election, one precinct, and we've already drawn for that today. And then next Monday will be the canvas at 10 o'clock. So we will present all of that information to you there. We have a couple of close races that, depending on a couple mail-ins that have come in provisionals, that may determine a change in those races. So that's all on that. And then the other thing is that I visited with Christina Dietrich with HR Partners last week. And she'll be here next Monday also to go over some stuff we're gonna present to you, to request some changes based on the salary study and move forward with. So we'll visit about those next week.
Okay.
On the mail-in ballots, how What date are they gonna be dated by, or how long did we accept them?
Mail ballots were done by last Friday,
Okay,
but hand delivered on Tuesday night at 7.
okay. So right now, if anything comes in, they're fully not acceptable.
Right.
Which I assume is that.
Any other questions? Tim?
On the infrastructure, do we need to appoint 2 people on that group today, or? On the executive? As part of the commission? Now, or
Oh, well, Cook Flat Stroll for that, okay. Again, I'd be glad to be on
I
mean, I would like to be on if they're doing the trail from Burlington to Strand. That's a project. I'd like to be on it. Other than that, then I think, then you need to be on it.
Well, that's one of the proposed in this packet, you saw already on, but, again, if I look it over, we can decide next week. I mean, think about it if you want to be on it or not, or.
There can only be 2, right?
There's two.
Yeah. The only other thing I was thinking that, of course, Bob represents 2 cities, don't you?
Actually, yeah, two and almost, and everything outside of the third one.
Yeah, so I mean,
I represent you
I
two
think
that
Bob
have
would be a good one on it.
I think I represent you two that deal, and actually I've been working on this. Steve Friend and I started on this back when Steve Friend was here. I would like to see that develop,
Become a reality.
become a reality. But
Again, it's being pitched here. I mean, the biggest hurdle is getting on the river bridge. But they also had in there, the land was on both sides of the river by John Decker too. and that's-
John Decker.
no, it isn't.
Not now.
On that.
No, it never was.
Oh,
It never was. The whole trail from New Strand is on the Corps of Engineers property. And it's on the Corps of Engineers property. John Decker's land was always east of that. It was never on John Decker's land.
well, let's see where they had it proposed. I didn't look real close at it. I think we actually sat down and looked through it and
It was always right beside John Decker's land.
How far south of it, how far south of that's gonna be on project then? Just the road south of John Becker's land,
Actually,
which would be, well.
Richard Newkirk's corner. Richard Newkirk's corner is where it would end up, but I think the county has enough right of way on the east side of the road, they could actually build that trail.
Here.
That'd be a
Again,
trail would be
it's one of the
one
ones to look at, Jim.
Well, the thing of it is, New Strand, and it's always been our issue, New Strand and Burlington are in the same school district. New Strand pays just as much taxes as Burlington does for the use of the swimming pool, the rec center and all that. But there's no way for kids to get back and forth other than go across the dam or around on 75 highway.
That'd be one to be well used, sure.
It would be well. And New Strand itself now is looking at having, building new soccer fields out there, and Rec Commission is gonna start using soccer fields out at New Strand. So it's another way, trying to tie those two communities together.
Well, I'd say my original thought was each commissioner that represented the city, like I'm the city of Burlington, I would sit on the city of Burlington's team, if you will. You'd be on the city of Waverly's team, Levo. But you'd really end New Strand in Leroy, but think about it, think about it. I'm gonna make sure we bring it up next week, just, where we wanna go. But I agree that to shelf it after all this work money's been spent would be ludicrous. So just push ahead, push ahead. Jesse, you have anything?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where to go with it, or what it is, but our health department is doing COVID testing now.
Oh, yeah.
People call them, and they have to go out in the parking lot to do the COVID testing. We have the handicap parking out here, which, since that back door is no longer a public entrance, do we really need that handicap parking? Or could we take a couple of those spaces at least, maybe move the one handicap parking down to the south, take a couple of those spaces and put that for people to drive in? And I hope this COVID crap doesn't go forever, but to have it for drive-in COVID testing so people can get in there. And we actually have a couple of tents the state sent us that we loaned to school, and school had them and the wind blew them away, and the school is supposed to be replacing them for us. But we put one of those up because these guys have to go out, even if it's nasty weather, raining, stand outside the deal while the people are filling out their papers and what they're doing, and their COVID test, for their COVID test. We're going to continue to give these COVID tests. I think we need to make a little bit more accommodations, a little bit more favorable for the people doing it, instead of having to walk out into the parking lot somewhere. And if those people come, they may find the parking maybe 3/4 of the way down the parking lot, and then you have to find the vehicle, whatever it is.
They've got, I know they have separate parking, I'm not arguing the fact that we don't need to do something, but for deliveries, they not use that.
Well, that's on a ramp, that's on an angle. That's on an angle. You got them standing out there. If it's icy, you got them standing out there on an angle for deliveries. But we've got 3 handicap parking.
Is there 3 there, Bob?
I think there's 3
See,
handicap
Eric,
parking.
Eric twice is back on whenever gets you.
And I don't know
It'd be
why
more
she
convenient-
couldn't be parking over there on some
Be more
sheriff's
convenient
department.
for her over there too.
But since that door down here is no longer public access, it kind of defeats the purpose of having handicap there, because they have to come clear from there and clear up.
I agree.
But we could still have one handicap over towards the south end of where that handicap is there.
That's fine. I wonder if Road and Bridge could just make a sign, COVID testing park here.
I'm sure they could.
Health department testing parking.
They could do any sign we want.
Yeah.
But I think that we ought to try to accommodate it a little bit if we're gonna have to do this testing.
That's fine.
I mean, the only other thing, I mean, if you put up a tent of some sort, something possibly could happen again, blow away. I don't know what little covered canopy type things that you just bolt down to the asphalt.
Getting one of those in a timely manner is gonna be.
Hospital put 2 of those up. Remember when they came in and requested the cement block, hold their tent? That's what they had. But we had 2 of those, and we loaned them to the school. They had them up there by the stadium, and then the windstorm came through and it took them away. Well, I've talked to 2 or 3 people in school, and they're supposedly going to replace those for us. I mean, we have 2, we put one out, if something eventually happens to it, and we got another, but hopefully all this stuff will eventually go away, and we quit doing that stuff.
That would be a hope.
But something to think about.
Something to be looked at.
We look into it and see what.
Getting one of those park courts in a timely manner might be difficult to bolt down.
I just figured they probably got them standing like up there in the foyer or something.
I would think these tents, though, you could put anchors in the concrete and cable them down. I think the thing up school is they didn't have them anchored very well.
Well, you have to get tent straps, and you can just do that. Probably be temporary.
Those were tents that the state actually gave us for $10,000 a piece.
I figured that tents would probably be too big be bigger than just one for 2 parking stalls.
Well, I don't know. We'd have to find the size of them.
It's just like those small tents we use when we're setting up for selling raffle tickets in Walmarts and other stores. When the wind's up, we screw them in the concrete.
But this is something else. I mean, right around temporarily, before we, do any tents or anything else, we could get some signs. We could maybe take 1 or 2 of those, parking away. Of course, I guess Andrea'd have to check and see about handicap parking, if we're gonna, state's gonna say we gotta have more, but we need to make more. I'd say make them out here in front of the door where people come in instead
You
of.
have 2 out there, out front, You have two on the south end of the bridge.
And if we leave one there, we should be appropriate. That's what I think. If you guys don't mind, I'll get with the health department and see what they want to say. If it just says, COVID testing signs or something, have road and bridge make them, put them up.
That'd be fun. For me anyway. Everybody agree with that?
We'll take care of that.
Okay.
That's it.
Good way to go.
You got anything, Dylan?
The only thing I've got, we got a very special day coming up, Veterans Day, Thursday. SCC has always had a fantastic program every year, except last year. But this year, the Veterans Honor Flight's flying out on Thursday and Friday. So they got a special event coming up Tuesday. Got a Black Hawk helicopter coming in at 9:30 Tuesday morning. So if you want to come and see the activity there at SCC, and then they've got a program starting at 10 o'clock in the gym. And in the years past, it's been a huge turnout. This year it'll probably be a little bit less because it's not on Veterans Day because the Veterans Honor Flight's flying. But just give you a heads up, this will be the first flight now in 2 years. Opie had their flight last week. Jeff hasn't talked to their coordinator, but as far as he understood, their Opie flight went well because everybody's got to be vaccinated. Whether they got to wear a mask all the time or not, I don't know. There's a lot of procedures they got to jump through to make it happen and happen right. But Thursday and Friday, the veterans, there's 24 veterans going this time, like there always is. There's the Guardians this year has been a little bit of a change up. There's 2 Guardians from Burlington, either 2 or 3. There's 3 Guardians from Lebo that's going to be joining on this program for this year. And there's 1 or 2 Guardians from Waverly. So the Guardians, they've reached out just a little bit this time. But, another thing, the program at SCC has been well supported. And as of right now, this will be flight number 18. This will move the veterans. It's went back to DC over 500 through our little school system. It's the most successful hub in the state of Kansas, other than Wichita. They can't compete with Wichita because they're up to 85 flights now. 18 flights have taken place. Like I said, it's the most successful hub in the state, other than Wichita. So just give you an update. They're back in. In April of next year, the plans are, because of lots of applications, if things continue to be successful, the SCC flight in April will probably be 50 veterans, double it up. And they've done that twice before. That takes a huge amount of work to make it work.
Lebo has a good Veterans Day at the school seminar.
Theirs will probably on Thursday morning.
Yeah, it'll be on, yeah.
Ours always is, but it's great that these schools do that, and not all schools do it. They got a Black Hawk helicopter coming in this year. So just an update on that. That's all I have other than set a date for the Burlington meeting.
As I know, we have a few executive sessions. I'm gonna go straight over to Andrea and then come back around.
On the parking lot situation too, according for the ADA regulations, if you have more than 25 parking places but less than 50, you have to have 2 handicap parking places. And the restrictions on that too are they have to be closest to the public access, which makes the ones that we have now, they've worked because those delivery spots aren't public parking. So even though they're not the closest to that doorway, they're still the closest public parking. And the 2 handicap spots, they can share a common access. But so if that's the size of our parking lot, we just have to have 2 closest to the public entrance.
There's 2 out front.
That one, 6.
On 6,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's the only restriction.
And then there's 2 on the south end as well.
Yeah, those 2 should cover.
And I think we ought to keep one over here for Eric's.
Eric's wife, yeah. That,
Or whoever.
yeah, because that one where they have the deliveries, it won't meet ADA compliance because it's too much. So
Yeah.
so it has to go. Has to be over there.
No. The thing about trying to make that work for COVID testing. I'll work with Tom too on that too.
Okay.
See what we can come up with.
Probably
And I'll work with Andrea and Tom and we'll see what
Sounds
we
like-
can come up with.
Kind of like it's very specific
Let me know.
regulations you gotta jump through. So.
Let me know if you go put up a tent or not. The final. Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You were talking about council meeting. The Burlington City Council is available to meet on Tuesdays or Thursdays between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you're 1 AM meeting with the council, with Burlington City Council. Those are their availability dates.
Okay. I would very much like to.
Is that the same week of their council meeting? Or is it on and off?
This
Do it
is an
on and
off night for them. This is not a,
Right,
Tuesdays
but
and
they have
Thursdays are
theirs
not.
on a Wednesday, right?
Right.
So would they want a Tuesday prior to, or do they want to be a week?
I know Tuesdays before their meetings, pardon me, they have like a study session on Tuesday night before their meeting.
Oh, okay. So that would be a good time to
I think
have a joint meeting.
See if we can
I think the sooner the better.
Yeah, so I don't see if we can't do it next Tuesday.
I'd throw it in there and see.
That would be awesome.
Well, after Thanksgiving, though, they said between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, I misunderstood.
Oh,
you.
okay, sorry.
But
I thought it was before Thanksgiving.
I did too, because that's
Oh.
what I
You
mentioned
said after
earlier.
Thanksgiving.
But let's see if we can't do it.
I'd try to expedite myself.
I would, yeah, tell me like,
Try to expedite it.
expedite somewhat, please.
We'll see if next Tuesday.
Yeah, be awesome.
And my other thing is the basement issue. I was only able to get one company out here to come take a look at the basement, which is gonna be some pretty extensive work, which would normally be a bid to put out for a public bid, but I don't know who else to call to try to get somebody out here to do it that can, not prolong because the health department's still leaking.
I think it's an emergency, because we're gonna have failed structure here, issues that's gonna cost a lot more.
Sounds like she's reached out to multiples and this the quickest
And
and
it's-
only response, so to speak, so.
Either voicemails without a return, that people don't call back. The one company did come out here, a lot of work that needs.
I don't think we got time to be choosing, or, I mean, I know it's gonna cost a lot of money, but that's that's the structure, it's sort of.
What's it going to cost if we don't do anything?
Exactly. Any further discussion on that?
I think move ahead.
Okay.
We need to put that in motion, because it's,
I'm sorry, let's.
it's a waterproofing in the basement, it's a kind of it's over the 10 grand, so to speak. But nobody else has been responding, and it's an ongoing issue that needs to be remedied.
You got it, one.
Correct. Or can we just tell her to give them a call and say go?
No, I think we probably need to have it approved.
We had a general agreement, but we didn't like make a motion. So,
Move to approve the bid. Form.
Do you have the bid with you?
I can run and get it. I can print it off. I don't have it with me.
No, I'd suggest being specific.
Okay, I can run down.
okay, we'll probably might do an executive session or two, but yeah, go ahead and do that. Did you have anything else though?
Yep, that was my last one.
Okay.
And before you leave, I just want to jump in on the special section with the city of Burlington. So the key with that is each entity, either together or collectively, whatever date is selected, will have to put out enough notice ahead of time that there'll be a special meeting. And why that's important, the last special meeting we had, because we were waiting on some information, the public was not, some of the public was not happy with the notice that they got. And we did the best we could, but in this situation, if it's going to be next Tuesday, is the suggestion, then we need to know as soon as possible so that Coffee County and the city of Burlington can put out enough notice if that's gonna work with their schedule. That way, and then do we know where it will be?
I thought it was gonna be after Thanksgiving. Everybody did.
Well, we want to expedite it,
We're
just
trying to expedite it.
just for certain
So we
reasons.
may not be able
So, we may or may not be able to.
So then, if that works, then location, and then we have to narrow down the focus of what the subject matter is going to be, because we have to provide notice of, we have to stay on course. If you remember, the special meeting we had was specific to the jail, and that's the only thing that we talked about. So whatever this meeting is going to be about, there will need to be topics that go out on that particular special meeting agenda as well. So
Can we have a work session with them and no decisions made
you can,
without having a meeting?
Well, that's what I thought was just kind of a work session.
Yeah,
Really
just
wasn't
a
a-
general.
I thought you were talking about having a special meeting, but I think you still need to provide notice so that if anybody wants to come and be a part of it, that they need to have that opportunity.
I personally would think that if I'm meeting with them, I wouldn't want to make any decisions on anything that was made that night. I'd want time to think about it.
Right.
So I was thinking just a work session and no decisions made, and just, we throw out our deals, they throw out their deals, and then we look at them, we talk about them and think, well, what is it we can do to make this come together? And then each go our separate ways and say, okay, this is what we're proposing to do.
And that's fine too, but it still needs to be advertised so that the public can.
But would we have to be in session to do that?
Especially if all five of us are there.
Not necessarily, but it might be, I think in my mind, if all five of the commissioners are gonna be there, it's probably better to practice, but I mean, that a work session probably doesn't hurt. So the key for me is notice and having people know where to go if they want to. And then the suggestion will be at a later date time to do the same with each of the other cities in the county, so that they have the same opportunity that the city of Burlington has. But that's my suggestion. You can choose your own course.
The other work sessions I've sat in on in other counties, there was only a couple of the commissioners, two, maybe three, depending on their commission count. There wasn't, I wouldn't say it would be a forum, but those were, they have them weekly, set weekly.
Sure. I thought the intent originally was to have a joint session between the two, so I could have been not thinking the right way.
I like the work session side of it, because no decisions be made, just basically the city and the county said, here's spitball, and I would assume, I'm gonna throw this out, infrastructure that may be needed, in the city or in cities. This is a start, I don't know.
So I don't know if there's been any dialogue with the city other than about having a meeting. So then the next step outside of location would be topics. And maybe you can throw out some topics right now that can then be relayed back to the city. So, and we want everybody to be on the same page,
I would say, it's important that each city has growth, and along with growth is expanding your infrastructure.
Sure. So generally, seeing in general infrastructure conversation, whether it be for the county as a whole or for each one of the individual cities, whether it be Burlington, Lebo,
Whatever.
Gridley, that would be, when you go into each one of the communities, you might want to have your topics the same. So everything that you talk about with the city of Burlington is the same as the city of Lebo. But if there's any asterisk that needs to go by that community has a particular issue that is unique to, let's say, Waverly, then that can be discussed or talked about ahead of time. And I think the idea is to partner with each one of these communities so that the county and the city they're on the same page and they have the same or similar vision moving forward. Now, the idea is not for the county to come in and say, you know, City of Lebo, you need to do this, because the City of Lebo is its own entity and can make decisions on its own, and that's their right. But how the two can mesh or blend together to work for the betterment of the county and each one of the cities, I think is the focus of meeting, if I understood.
Correct.
Exactly. Okay, right.
So, yeah, I misunderstood Andrea, and she said after Thanksgiving, obviously, and, you know, when I said earlier, I thought it was between now and Thanksgiving. No, that was my bad, so,
December 7th? It's after Thanksgiving, right?
yeah, and so November 30th, so.
Well, that's true too. So check either one of those 2 days?
Unless they can do something in the next,
Well, he's talking about making it public, getting the date
Well,
far
you
enough
gotta be
out,
out.
to make
You
it
gotta be out
public,
in the
so
paper.
my only thought is remedy, something that needs to be remedied sooner than later.
Well, they would need to agree, and I'm not sure what they need to do to agree who has that decision-making capacity. But then their clerk will need to provide notice as well. So I can't pretend to tell you how they operate and what they do. I think that'll need to be checked first to see if those days even work. And you'd indicated after.
Correct.
So there may be a reason why that doesn't work with people's schedules and they need time to coordinate. I don't know, I'm just assuming at this point.
Well, and they might have been also thinking, which we're all just speculating right here, is they might have also been thinking a joint session type deal instead of a work session as well. That could change
Right, and I'll check.
their timeline that they could meet. So,
Well, we can shoot for November 30th.
Yeah.
Or December 7th, but in between then. I don't know how to word it, so.
But they met last week, if I remember it, so then they meet, not this week, but the following week, the 17th.
Meet on the 17th.
Which I'm pretty sure they have like a work session the Tuesday night before the meeting.
So work,
That's why I was thinking maybe next Tuesday, but I forgot about the after Thanksgiving thing, so my bad there.
so there can be a communication of some sort. Maybe Andrew can reach out and maybe reconvene on this topic next Monday. And if they do have some sort of, I don't know, on the 16th, at least have an idea of how they operate their study sessions. Without the city meeting this week, it makes it difficult because they need to be able to make their own decisions in an open forum, similar to what this board does. And I think the best we get is next Monday to have an idea of what that is. Andrew can reach out, figure out what they're.
but if they want to meet Tuesday as a work session, that's not gonna give me time to put anything in the newspaper.
Sure. Well, someone will, Andrew can reach out ahead of time and see if there's a mechanism where that can occur.
Their next meeting won't be until 17th anyway.
Right.
So how they're gonna figure out what they're gonna do, but they can't figure out what they're gonna do the 16th.
Well, what their procedure is to, if they're already having a work session, and that's just a regular thing that they do, is notice already put out about that? And if so, then the county could potentially be part of that, and the county would need to put out notice on their end. So what I'm saying is they may already have their notice out because it's a regular current thing. But whether they want it to work that way, I don't know. From what it sounds like, their interpretation or understanding is it's a special meeting and not a work session. So we need to get that clarified first.
Yeah, I'd call it a work session versus a special meeting.
Yeah.
And as far as location, then if it's a meeting day that they're already in a work session.
We just meet there.
We just go to their place.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
You
it's all right.
lawyered it up.
He's protecting the backside then.
Pardon me?
Nothing but a hard time getting there.
Well, yeah, I don't know where to go with it now, so,
I think we need more information.
okay.
And that's so Maya,
Yeah, sure.
so I need to request probably a 10-minute executive session to discuss personnel matters of non-elected personnel under the non-elected personnel matters exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-43-19B1, myself and the board.
For how long?
10 minutes.
Can make a motion? Jesse seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going at 11:32 for 10 minutes.
Yes. Right behind you.
gonna go upstairs?
I think this is. Yes. So that's good. And I do have, I can make a copy of this somewhere, but I can't get back into my office. No. I wonder if the extension office will let us copy this, so you can at least have this.
Send it through. Send it through.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't even know what this is or why. I don't think that's anything. Oh, wait, it's a report of service. What's that for the cost?
Well, I think that's one of the things Kenny wanted me to pick up.
Okay, then that is something interesting. Because I was looking to come to the east side to see what they're doing.
Because that was in our box upstairs, so. because I grabbed it right before I came down here.
I guess keep it for now.
And obviously I'm coming back in a little bit, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I forgot about that one.
Just curious. In between, I've got a 2-minute request. Just to talk.
Do you have anything else?
I do, but I'm gonna let Bobby jump in. He said he's got something he wants
Okay.
to present.
This is at the request of the commissioner. On the discussion of the Veterans Day and what it means to Coffee County.
She went to go get that paper printed.
Yeah.
That was printed.
This is a special year. This is the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And for the first time ever in the history of the United States, individuals will be allowed to approach the tomb. And that's a very special moment. And other than the President of the United States, or other permitted foreign dignitaries, such as the President of France, there's never been anybody approach the tomb to lay flowers on the tomb. This year, they're going to allow individuals. And, the Rotary Club had performed a project earlier this year to raise some money to be able to do a project, and one of them is to send a young lady who's committed to the Marines here in this county to Arlington to lay a flower from Coffee County on the tomb, and also to lay flowers on tombs of a few more soldiers who have died in our service from Coffee County, and visit those tombs and lay flowers on them, and to venerate a memorial for one of our fallen. So I wanted to discuss this, just let you know what's going on. One of our own here at the courthouse, Miss Andrew, is also a veteran. She served in Operation Desert Storm, and she will be attending this trip, and she'll be going to Texas as a chaperone. She's also a Rotarian and a veteran, and so she will also be laying a flower on the tomb. And this will occur on the 10th. We will have video, and we'll send it to the school. They may, the schools, they may, if they have time, show it on their TVs. And this is a project that was came along pretty fast. We would like to expand on this as the years come and send, the Veterans Flight is a big piece of what the county supports, the community supports, rather. We'd like to add to that and also send some of our committed youth who are committed to the service, so they can go see. It's a very special activity.
I think you need to emphasize that actually, I know a little bit about, they're taking sunflowers.
Yes, sir.
And they're going to put one on the Tomb of the Unknown. They're going to put one on a Coffee County headstone in Arlington.
Yes, sir.
And then they're going to leave one at the wall for Coffee County.
Yes, sir.
First.
Yes, sir. And we'd also encourage them to, tradition is you take a piece of paper and you take a pencil and you scratch you inscribe the name you are honoring. You're honoring all of them. In our case, we have one.
And our old Andrea gets to go.
I do get to go. I'm very thankful to get to go.
Round of applause.
When is this, Andrew, when does this take place?
We actually leave this evening. We have a very early flight tomorrow morning. So we'll be staying by the airport and leaving really early in the morning and come back the evening of the 10th.
Come back when?
The evening of the 10th. So we won't be there on the 11th, but this gives us the opportunity to be there for the public.
So you're coming back when the honor flight
Yeah.
takes out? Because they leave at 2 o'clock Thursday morning. 2 AM Thursday
Uh-huh.
morning. The bus does from
Oh,
Leroy.
okay. We'll just miss some Mary, so we'll be off this evening.
Congratulations.
No, thank you very much.
Pretty high honors, right
Yeah.
there.
It is very much.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Lee?
Need to request a 10-minute executive session. And this one is specific to consultation with the county counselor to discuss pending, ongoing, I don't know if it's not necessarily county litigation, but it's litigation involving the county that matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client relationship exception, PSA 75-4319 B2. 10 minutes, myself and the board.
Make a motion.
Tim moved.
I'll say,
Don
I'll
second.
beat Jesse.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We're going to 11:51.
Hmm.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh.
Okay, we're back. Do you want to be involved in this next month? or-
Sure.
Yeah, so I need executive session with Wade and the commission, as well as Darrell and Jill from the Ag Extension Office for possible land purchase. 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yep.
So,
Designated.
I'll second.
Every say aye.
hard to get ahead of Jesse. Yeah.
12:05 for 20 minutes.
I'm gaining, this time change.
Did they mention they wanted to stop and eat lunch, or do they want to go?
How much longer do you have?
It's probably gonna need 30 minutes, more, maybe more,
For one more, or you have
just
several?
one.
Let's let Bobby jump in.
Okay.
I would like to request that the commissioners, enter an executive session to discuss trade secrets of the corporation. Including, I would say that it needs to be 30 minutes. It would include the commissioners, the county attorney, and myself.
I will abstain.
Okay.
So moved.
Tom moved
All second.
and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Going to 12:30 for 30 minutes.
Mm.
12:30 for 30 minutes. Start my timer here.
What time do you know?
He's got it.
Huh.
I'll stay here and do work. Make sure you girls stay in line down here. No rough house. Yeah. Ooh-wee. This gotta be the highway department? Nope, sheriff's office.
you. I got it right here.
All right.
Oh, you're back then.
No, I stayed.
Oh, okay.
What's up? Sitting here in peace and quiet. And I had a room.
There's always one.
I like this part.
Oh my. Oh, that's yours.
Hell, they just put it out there, didn't it?
Yeah.
Andrea, the only thing I'd like to see him change on this,
On the basement quote?
yeah, I'd like to, instead of 3/4 clean gravel, I'd like to see him put like 1.5 inch filter in between the concrete and the dirt.
And what page are you looking at on that one?
So it acts as a filter. I've rubbed through this
Good.
a little bit.
Can I just take your word?
Well, they
Okay, I
put
see where,
3/4
the back
3/4 clean
filter.
gravel in between the dirt and the concrete wall. I'd like to put like 1.25 inches, something bigger, so it filters
Yeah.
better, moves water better.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I see in there, but I'm not a basement person. It's just what I think of my
I've
house.
got friends in those.
Yeah, I got friends who work for it. I happen to work with rock a lot.
You're a rock star.
Yeah. Yeah, not quite.
Wade,
So generated off of one of the prior executive sessions, I'm going to request another executive session, myself and the board, to sort of a hybrid, but it's more for just the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property, that exception. 754319B6, it will touch into 754319B2, which is the consultation with the county councilor. to discuss matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client relationship exception, but I think the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property is the crux of what my discussion would be. So myself and the board, 10 minutes,
About 15.
15 is fine too.
Don's moved. I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5, we're going at 1:05 for 15 minutes.
First time that's been late. I've had it before, Mom did it.
It was.
I should have brought something.
I mean, I never saw them. I just saw them do it from the front door. Good side. On this side. Okay. Right. Scratch that. That was a long step to the front door. But you just have to set it in off the same time. A minute after. Yeah, this big old wasp. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, good deal. Bye. Bye. Yeah. After they get their tax on.
You could hit a deer, to sit right in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
No, you need ammo.
No, I got lots of that.
My stomach is light as a big. We're back. I thought Wade was coming around the corner there.
He said he's gonna go make a couple of phone calls.
Oh. Okay. Well, I thought we were gonna try and move on this waterproofing deal. I think,
On this one, he recommends that we cast a wider net before.
okay, all right. So I guess that will be it, unless somebody else got something else from roundtable they wish to share.
So we're gonna cast a wider net again?
That's what Andrea said he suggested, so. Unless somebody else has got something, I guess we need to wait till Tim's done signing first before we can,
Wait on Tim again.
before we can,
Are you signing those others?
That one from the sheriff's office is probably not as big as it's been for a while. It's almost 9,000, but there was, I looked at everything over 100. A lot of, some of it's still hotels and training and some trips, and then there were some 4 or 5 other things that sheriff's department absolutely needed. So I didn't see anything that should be approved.
I think I can say, Andrea, have a good trip and enjoy it. I think it's worthwhile.
Thank you very much. I'm excited, looking forward.
How did you get selected for that, or do you have any idea?
Well, I think Bobby through the Rotary Club, they were needing a female veteran to escort the 2 females who were gonna be going.
Are you the only one in Coffee County?
For this particular project, yes, it's the 2 local girls are Coffee County and myself.
I guess I didn't realize that a program like this would allow you to lay flower or wreath or whatever at the tomb of the unknown soldier.
It's a one-time deal.
I'm sorry?
It's a one-time deal because it's 100th anniversary.
And that's why we're going.
I didn't hear all the
It's a
presentations.
100th anniversary.
That'd be quite an honor.
And the Veterans Day ceremony on the 11th, they won't be able to do that. It's only on the 9th and the 10th, so.
I know the honor flag will get to spend about 2 hours there at that, the tomb of the unknown soldier. But I think they get to see the guard, perform. Perform may not be the right word,
Right,
but you
yeah,
get to see it.
right.
done, Timothy?
Yes.
No one has anything else, we can adjourn at 1:25. All right.
Andrew, do you know, planning or zoning board, is there a meeting this week?
I'm gonna say that I can double check, but I didn't get the agenda for it.
I'll ask Bobby.
Okay.
All right, just let me know, just text me. You and I'll be here.